Hello, in this video I'm going to show you how to make data available to be consumed through an HTTP request. Basically, you'll be able to host a JSON file which can be accessed via an HTTPS request. For example, I will copy this URL, which is the JSON file you are seeing right now, and will consume it using the terminal application curl. You can see it fetch all the data, which are the same data you see in the browser. The browser is also making an HTTP GET request. Here I have another called lessonseeds.json, and it also fetches the data. Why is this useful? Well, it's great for feeding static data to your applications. For example, this application we saw in another video is fetching these lessons you are seeing here. These are English lessons provided by a service that makes this data available. For instance, if I want to see this lesson that says ID 6A with the title Think Positive or Negative, I can paste it here. Click Update and it fetches the data from this JSON file. When I fetch data from the other lesson file that doesn't have the number 6, I'm retrieving data from that server. This has many applications, such as loading lessons into this app that need a certain structure, or for mocking data, or any other purpose you might have. All of this is completely free and always available. It won't go down over time. As you can see in the URL above, or when we pasted it here, this github.io is the domain of GitHub, which allows you to host applications on GitHub Pages. All you need is a GitHub account, one of the most popular services for storing Git repositories, among other things. When you create the repository, you will publish it on GitHub Pages. Let's make an example. Here I'm showing you the one we are looking at. Notice the URL as a subdomain, my GitHub username, which is smartnetrr github.io, and the repository name. In this case, English Book Pre-Intermediate, and the file name, which is lessonseeds.json. If we go to the repository, I'll open it in another tab, you'll see the lessonseeds.json file, which contains all the content we just saw, and the lessons.json file that has the other content we also viewed. To do this, you basically need to create an account as I mentioned. Then create a new repository. In this case, I'll name it example JSON data to avoid confusion. We'll keep it public without adding a README, gitignore, or license for this purpose. Once we create the repository, it tells us how to clone it to our computer. But in this case, I won't do that. You can work on it all from your computer if you prefer. At this point, you can start creating or uploading files if you already have existing files. I create a new file here. To create an example JSON file, I'll go to Dynamic Books app, switch to Dev mode to select an example. I'll choose this write sentence example, copy it to have a JSON structure, and paste it into the new file we are creating. You can create any JSON file you want. For example, this is an exercise, an activity to complete in the present simple tense if I'm not mistaken. Let's check if everything looks good. It seems fine at a glance. I'll call it Grammar 1B. Commit the changes, which is like saving. Here you can leave a message. I'll put save commit. Now we have the JSON file. If you look here, the file is inside example JSON data, which is the repository name, and the file name is grammar1b. I forgot to add .json extension to the file name. Let's go to the settings to make it publicly accessible and consumable via HTTP request. Choose the branch to serve GitHub Pages from. In this case, the only branch is main, and select the root directory. Hit save. Here appears the URL. It's basically your username.github.io followed by the repository name, which in this case is example JSON data. Let's copy this URL and test it directly from the terminal, but you can also open it in the browser. Using curl, you can see it fetches the data. Notice the structure: subdomain, domain, extension, repository name, and file name. In this case, I forgot to add the extension.json. So, if I hit enter, the browser will try to download it instead of displaying it due to how browsers handle such files. But if you use it in this application and click update, you can see it reads the data from the repository. If I use curl to call the URL, it fetches the data. For practicality, let's add the extension.json to the file name. This is a JSON file, so let's rename it to grammar1b.json. I also update the lesson name inside the JSON file to example JSON GitHub for YouTube. Save changes with a commit. You can add a description here. Now it shows the updated and renamed file. If we look at the URL smartnet.r github.io example JSON data grammar1b.json, we see the updated data. Testing it in the Dynamic Books application by clicking Update, you can see the title we just added. Using curl, it also fetches the data showing example JSON GitHub for YouTube. This way, you can create JSON files and make them available for consumption via HTTP requests totally free. I hope this was helpful. Please leave a comment if you create a repository to share lessons using Dynamic Books application. Share the link so I can check them out and share them with the community. Thank you and see you in the next video.